Time for Building Momentum, brought to you by Momentum Advocacy. If your organization, business, or corporation needs to understand the complex nature of our capital, you need to get a hold of Momentum Advocacy. Let's talk about what's going on in Minnesota today.
There must be something going on. Amy's on the road. Senator Amy Koch with Momentum Advocacy and Building Momentum. Amy, how are you doing?
I am great, Al. Nice to see you. Yeah, you've got me headed to St. Cloud.
What happens to be going on in St. Cloud? By the way, we're in St. Cloud. St. Cloud is a fantastic city. What's going on up there?
You gotta love the Granite City. So there is a retreat for the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Children's Museums. And we
wait. The Coalition of Greater Minnesota Children's Museums?
Right. So I think a lot of people think about the Minnesota Children's Museum.
Yes.
St. Paul. Right. But there are actually 12 children's museums around the state.
Get out.
Yeah. There's the oldest one in the state is in Duluth. Mankato's got a very established. Yep. I mean, Hutchinson, Fergus Falls, Brainerd has got a new one, Wonder Trek. It's going to be all outdoors.
Wow.
There's Grand Rapids has got one. It's attached to the Judy Garland Museum. Breckenridge has got one opening. Let's see, Rochester, of course, has got a big one. Benson's got an ag-related one. Minnesota. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Let me ask you this, though. I mean, because this is, I presume this is through Momentum Advocacy. You work for them, right? Are they?
Yes, yep,
they're
I'm lucky enough to work with them. Yep.
See, this is the kind of thing which, maybe it was my wife, I don't remember, somebody was asking me, maybe a golf buddy, how all of that works. I could not have told you there was a coalition for Greater Minnesota Children's Museum, but there are groups out there like that I presume want help with stuff at the Capitol, and who from the Bemidji, Children's Museum has what it takes to get stuff through. They get folks like you to do that. There's a group I never even knew existed that needed you guys.
Yeah, and well, if you think about it too, it makes sense for them to get together because they increase their efficacy because Mankato in itself, they have their own legislators, right?
Yeah.
But they're just one. But together, they represent the entire state. They all do very similar things, right? They care about access for schools. They want to make sure school kids come. They actually do human services work. They're a place for parents that are divorced, where they have visitation, where they can meet. They do a ton of early learning, like early childhood education, 0 to 5, early childhood family education, working with parents. Yeah. You would be amazed, and people would be horrified kind of at the screen time that kids get. Maybe wouldn't even be amazed, right? Yeah. The amount of play has so reduced, and the screen time is so increased that more and more museums are just desperately needed.
Well, I guess I'm looking at it. That's a group of what, 10, 12? What did you say, 12?
12. Yep, there's 12.
All right. There got to be a ton of other groups that are thinking they're too small to get help, but in reality, if you're size 12, you could get professional help like Momentum Advocacy. I'm just very thrilled that you have that going on today, and it's accidental that you're having to be driving there. If you need them, Momentum Advocacy, you'll hear the commercial in a second. Senator, your thoughts on your Minnesota Vikings? I know you're a Viking fan. I know I don't know. I doubt there's any money on it, but I think you actually have like what do they call it, a fantasy football league against Senator Karen Housley, right? She brings that stuff up all the time. So no money exchanging hands, I'm sure. I don't care either. What do you think on your Minnesota Vikings?
Well, okay, so McCarthy. And this is where I'm sad because my fiance, Clint, who is an Eagles fan, by the way, was right.
Okay.
So two things. Clint is an Eagles fan. He's two things. He's an Eagles fan and he's a Michigan fan. So he loves McCarthy. He loved him. But because he took him to the Nationals, right? But he goes, I just don't think he's that strong of a quarterback, Amy. And I was like, nope, I was total homer. No, he's fantastic. What are you kidding me? How can you win a national championship without being one? Well, I have concerns, Al. I have concerns. Clint has been right. Let us say it. Maybe he'll be proven wrong by the end of the season, but it's been a rough start.
I think it's tough for any new kid. I mean, rookies are rookies for a reason, but I think he has no frontline help. I think you have to have a front line that gives a kid more than a second and a half to decide what he's going to do. I'm just highly disappointed in the offensive line.
Well, and that's true too, right? But he's got a lot of targets. He's got a lot of talent there,
Yeah.
and he's got some experience filling. I mean, I know he's filling in, whatever. But then you've got you got a JJ like a Justin Jefferson, like I mean
Yeah.
that can make almost anybody look good, right?
Well, we thought
So
so, but
I
it
don't know.
hasn't happened yet. Okay.
It's too early. No, it's too early.
Can
McDonald got the injury, and
I
so
don't know how much work momentum advocacy does gratis, but I think there's enough of us that I know that would love it if you guys would take to the Capitol some plan that Viking football games can't be at 8:30 in the bloomin' morning. I'm looking at this guy. I got to give it 5 to start the ribs. Stop. Can we get a bill?
no.
Would you help us walk that through Come on, that's common sense stuff.
It does seem like Roger Goodell should work that out. So you're referencing the Ireland game
Yes.
in Dublin. That's going to be in the afternoon there, which, by the way, I'm so excited. I will be there. Went to London
Good.
last year. I'm going to Dublin this year. Clint and I are going we're getting married October 4th. We're going to the game the weekend before. So
Nice.
honeymoon. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree. It's we'll be having a great time. Perfect time for us. Plenty of tailgate time, but there's no tailgate time for anybody in Minnesota.
Well, you say it's 3:00 there. Push them back to 7, and now at least my game's at 11. And not, I just don't see why in the world this thing's starting at 8 in the morning. There should be a law. That's all I'm saying. It should be a law.
That's
That's what you do.
like I think a Dublin that is. But
Right.
anyway, yes, I'm sorry, but I'll text you. Good morning and wake up, Al, so that you're ready for.
Oh, I'll be up. My ribs will be roasting. I have plans that I have to do to make things work. We got to talk a little bit about stuff going on in the state of Minnesota, if you don't mind.
Sure we'll have to.
Is there, in your opinion, going to be a special session or not? I know the governor wants one, but even some of his own people are saying, we don't have the numbers to do anything here. You're going to call this thing, and then what? And here we are, we're weeks down the road where we still haven't gotten one. Do you know have you heard if we're going to have one for sure or not?
I mean, the governor said there will be one. He's calling one. I am very glad to see things have slowed down, and not because I don't think that there's things that need to be done, urgent things that need to be done, right? I mean, whether you agree or disagree, right? You want to talk about mental health, you want to talk about school safety, you want to talk about, the governor wants to talk about assault ban, rifle. All of those things are urgent and important, and enunciation is heartbreaking, and the stories of the parents are heartbreaking. But there is right now the most evenly divided legislature we've ever had. 67 in the House, 68 to pass a bill. Neither side can pass a bill. In the Senate, it's worse. The Democrats had 34 to 33. But with the Woodbury senator, they now have 33, and the Republicans have 32. So they don't even have an advantage there because you need 34 to pass the Senate. You literally do not have the votes to pass anything. So let's work together. And I'm glad to see the pause, because I think it's got a better chance of actually getting something done. I think if the governor called a special and just said, take this bill or leave this bill, it would not, nothing would get done. So I'm very glad to see it slow down.
So what happens? I mean, even if we move this thing to February when they get back together anyway, those numbers are exactly the same, right? I mean, we're going to be split. There's still going to be no way of getting these things done. So I don't know what changes even when we get to the next session, unless they can tie it together with what is bonding next year, right?
Right. Well, unless they can, I think that they need to talk about the big picture right here and what really went wrong. And I think there are things to be done. They passed red flag laws in 2023. And boy, oh boy, if this wasn't a case for, should have been, red flag, right? So, and it didn't work. Well, why didn't it work? Like, let's just make sure that what we're doing and working on is a real solution that isn't just going to be, making us feel safer, but actually making us feel safer, and avoiding and preventing the next, horrible tragedy. So
that's fair enough. Now, I did have I think it was a senator, it might have been a representative on, saying that we could, at least if we did this special session, get some things done that we know we can get done. The binary trigger thing that the judge kicked out in Ramsey County because it was in an omnibus bill. Well, we can get that passed because we all know that's already passed. And I asked, but It has nothing to do with the shootings we've seen here lately. Whether it's right or wrong, seems weird to just get her done for done's sake. Your thoughts on that omnibus bill as we see cracks in that armor? Do you think that comes tumbling down, that the idea that you can have all these different things in a bill works?
It was the fact that it was an omnibus bill, but it was also the fact of how it was passed. This was an omnibus bill that I've never seen happen like this. It was taken into a committee in about the last half hour of session, and it wasn't just one omnibus, a tax bill.
No.
They put in. They didn't even have the language. They had like 10 House and Senate files that they just crammed into a bill. There was no hearings. There was no process. And then they were put on the floor with about 5 minutes, 10 minutes left to go in session. And the, any kind of discussion was shouted down. That was the worst. That was probably my time in the legislature, and this is not hyperbole, the worst thing I've seen. And I've seen a lot, and I've seen bills jammed through. This was something else. And so, yeah, I do think, especially when it comes to that bill, that others may look at that court case, that success on the binary triggers and say, well, what else is in there that, shouldn't be in law right now?
Does this get to a point where it falls apart, the idea of these omnibus bills that are about more than one thing? Right now, the binary, Minnesota Gun Caucus owners something got that done. If other people start picking that bill apart, does it all fall apart? Is there some point where they say that thing meant nothing, go back to 2025, early February, and that's where we're at? Can you actually go backwards with laws?
That's what's happening with that, right? It's unconstitutional, so it's not happening. Now that's that very specific because someone challenged it. Mm-hmm. I guess if something doesn't get challenged, then it remains in statute, right? That's the whole three branches, right? The legislature passes it, the governor signs it, and then the courts decide if it's legal. And in this case, they decided no, it's not constitutional. But there is a single subject clause. But this wasn't an omnibus bill about taxes or health and human services. This omnibus bill had everything.
From trigger locks to paid parental leave, it had
had everything. It was not even close to single subject.
We have to go to break. Much more to talk about. I love having you on. It's Senator Amy Koch from Momentum Advocacy with Building Momentum.
When the stakes are high at the Minnesota Capitol, you need more than a lobbyist. You need a partner. At Momentum Advocacy, we bring nearly 90 years of combined experience in government relations, public affairs, and strategic communications. From nonprofits to national corporations, we help organizations navigate Minnesota's political landscape with integrity, insight, and results. Whether you need legislative champions or headlines, Momentum Advocacy delivers. For more, visit momentum-advocacy.com. Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol.
September is Suicide Prevention Month, a time to raise awareness, support survivors, and save lives. Here in Minnesota, September 24th is Suicide Prevention on the Air Day. Every dollar raised will support SAVE, Suicide Awareness Voices of Education, providing education, advocacy, and programs of hope. And on that day, your gift will go twice as far because every donation will be matched dollar for dollar. Visit save.org to see our work, learn how you can help, and donate. Remember September 24th because every voice can save a life. Are you kidding me?
You know that comment you said to the radio? The thing that we got wrong?
Clearly, Brussels sprouts are the worst vegetable.
Call us and let the world know your thoughts. 855-257-7469. That's 855-ALS-SHOW.
And we've got her on the program with us, Senator Amy Koch. She is with Momentum Advocacy, bring us, building momentum. If I realize that we haven't talked since this happened, so if maybe just a blush, or you probably talked it out. Your thoughts when you heard Charlie Kirk had gotten assassinated?
We haven't talked about this. Well, it's horrific, and even worse. I watched the initial video that was out, which I can't even imagine what his wife and hopefully his children do not ever see that. So obviously a lot of pain, a lot of hurt. And I thought back to our own former speaker, Melissa Hortman, and her husband, and you cannot miss the parallels. You cannot. And and what I would just say to both sides, which is what I said then, stop with the rhetoric, stop with the ugliness, stop othering people, because, and I don't say that people that have hyperbolic rhetoric and call people evil and call them are going to necessarily take to a gun and kill someone, but you do empower and you do give people with very unwell minds ideas. And we have really devalued life in this country in such a way that it's almost like a video game, right? Like this, it seems like this young kid it feels like he knew what he was doing. He knew very clearly what he's doing, and he thought he was going to be some kind of hero? What is happening? And we touched on this, Al, right? What is happening in our country? And we all bear a piece of it. Like, you call me out, if I start rhetoric that gets off into that territory.
I think there are plenty. I got scared for you, those like you that have been senators and representatives. You were all in that game. And then the Hortman and Hoffman thing happens. It had to hit you all different than the rest of them. Now, these are friends of mine. It hit me. I know, weird. It's got to hit people. These are our representatives. But it hit you guys close to home. So I always felt bad there. Then you look at the Charlie Kirk thing, and you talk about the rhetoric, which is driving me nuts. Because I think we try pretty hard to keep it down here, is that we still have folks who are now running for governor for a third term, and we're going to talk about him next, who came out yesterday and was throwing the word fascist around and ruining our government. This is the end of democracy. You can't say that stuff, because some nut job is going to say, I've got to save America, it's my job, and put his superhuman cape on and go do stupid stuff. I don't think they're going to stop, Amy. I guess is my point. This literally happened within the week, and we're still doing it on national TV today.
Right. Irresponsible. This is not a thing for leaders to be doing. It is just simply not. This young person, this man, talked about killing fascists and really felt like he was doing a duty. So do not use those terms. As leaders, you must not. Now, similarly, I was very disappointed with the president that he did not recognize Melissa Hortman's name. Okay. He was asked in a press conference why he didn't have flags at half staff for her, which, by the way, he and her husband, he should have. She was a prominent political assassination. He should have. She served the state beautifully. But that he didn't even know her name, and I don't think he was being cruel. I think that he simply did not, and that also makes me terribly sad.
It is. I would say that we've got 350 million people. If he didn't know these people in Minnesota, I get it. Somebody should have briefed him on it. Somebody messed up. But his rhetoric going, his rhetoric going back and forth still about the Kimmel getting off. Everyone's just got to stop. Just let it be for a while, and they're not, and that's what's driving me crazy. I'm not sticking up for the president either. I just don't know that.
No, I mean, President Trump, Governor Walz, all of you, stop it. You have a duty. Your words matter. Please stop.
Thank you. I'm sorry we didn't get to more topics. I can hit you up with the Vikings and the rest. Next time you're on, we'll do more politics. Is that fair? I appreciate your input on Charlie Kirk. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all you guys do with Momentum Advocacy. Find out, how do we get a hold of you, by the way?
Yeah, you can just go to momentum-advocacy.com, or you can, just go on there, and I've got my mobile phone on there. Give us a call.
Hey, sounds good. Thank you. Senator Amy Koch on the Al Travis Show.
You need a friend at the Capitol who knows how to get things done.
And you're in luck, because